Tom Fanning is Chairman, President, and Chief Executive Officer of Southern Company. He has worked for Southern Company for more than 3 decades. What's interesting is over those 3 decades, he's held 15 different positions in 8 different business units within the company. Like Mary Brock, Tom Fanning is on numerous boards, including the Board of Trustees for the Georgia Tech Foundation and the Georgia Tech College of Management Advisory Board. He also serves as the Deputy Chair of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. Tom got both his bachelor's and master's degrees in industrial management at Tech, and he was awarded an honorary Doctor of Philosophy from Tech as well. His executive education, meanwhile, includes programs at Harvard School of Business as well as Virginia's Darden School of Business. Please welcome a Tech man through and through, Mr. Tom Fanning.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. That's great. Well, it is fabulous being here, and I can tell you this is a really busy time. I don't know, I saw some of you out there, some friends. Just before we came down here, I was kind of off in the corner, banging on my iPhone and all that. What you didn't mention, Brandon, and this is actually true, I work for the Department of Homeland Security, representing all of the electric infrastructure in America, trying to protect the electric networks from cyber terrorism, physical terrorism, and natural disasters. And it just so happens right now we're kind of facing a natural disaster with this gigantic snowstorm that's going up the northeast coast. They're looking like maybe 30 inches to 3 feet of snow with 60-mile-an-hour winds. I know Mike Anderson is here. He's the vice president of Georgia Power. And we just agreed to send over 300 people up there. And I know here we are, and why is he going off on this storm? Well, I was thinking about, that's like game day for us. And when I think about the importance of game day, we all know that when you think about all the accomplishment of the people here as athletes and the people here as sports donors, you're successful in your own right. You just don't walk on the court or the field or the course and become successful. And so it's really important to put in the time to practice. And so what I did tonight, I called Paul Bowers, he's the CEO of Georgia Power Company, and said, Paul, I think we need to practice. We've got this big storm, this big thing ahead of us. What do you say we turn the lights off in Athens, Georgia tonight? So you never know. Watch the evening news. But it is about, I just wanted to hit kind of 3 quick topics, and I'll turn the program back over to Brandon. But I do want to talk about 3 things. One of them is kind of what I always call the what's in the house. The what's are kind of what we do. In my business, it's make, move, and sell electricity. All of you donors that are so successful, you must excel at the what's. You have the ability to contribute to this fine institution. All of you wonderful athletes, you are successful. You step on the court and the course and the field, and you contribute and you try your best to win, but if you don't win, you give your all. And I think one of the things that when we think about the what's, Georgia Tech has this terrific track record, and under the leadership of guys like Mike Bobinski, I think we're in terrific shape for years ahead. But one of the things I tell the employees of Southern Company all the time, the what's kind of get you in the door, and they're important. But I think as important and more powerful, I am convinced, are the hows. When you hear folks like Jonathan King talk about the importance of Georgia Tech's mission statement, and he didn't talk so much about baseball, but he talked about the contribution to other human beings. When you think about being bigger than your own bottom line, those are really what define your hows in life. And I think everything that we hold up as success in athletics translates into success as life. And when we think about the donors here, yeah, you do want to win the Orange Bowl. You guys were terrific. But I think what goes on beyond the Orange Bowl is the fact that we at Georgia Tech do it right. We carry on year after year, and we are proud of the program and proud of the individuals that represent this program. So the what's are important. The hows that are represented by the fine people in this audience really make us proud. The second thing is really just goes to the notion of responsibility. Nobody would be here if you didn't have kind of at least 3 levels of responsibility. You heard Ollie talk about all the time he put in. Well, the first level of responsibility I love to talk to employees about is just personal responsibility, taking responsibility for yourself. You know, for all the success and adulation you get as an athlete, it's easy to get caught up in that. But when I think about all the hours you put in, when I think about the work I do, and I am so blessed to have the kind of opportunity I do to lead Southern Company, I guarantee you we all have those days where we'd rather go play golf, right? You wake up in the morning and just say, bag this stuff, right? I'd rather go do something else. And yet each of us, the really successful people, find it in ourselves the ability to reignite that fire, to make today better than yesterday and tomorrow better than today. I think taking personal responsibility for accepting the fact that we all have our valleys and reinvesting and getting back in the game really helps us. But I think beyond personal responsibility is this notion of taking responsibility for your teammates. The idea that through me, through you, we can both be better, holding each other accountable. I think a lot of people find it easy to hold yourself accountable, but boy, holding your teammates accountable is tough. But we'll both be better for that. And then the final thing is really taking responsibility for what I call the enterprise. Now, what is that? Well, it's not self. I guess the teammate and self would be family or work group. But the enterprise is something bigger than your family. It's your community, it's your state, it's your nation. It's not your job or your work group or your company, it's your business. And when I think about the enterprise here, it really transcends sports. Well, of course, it's your contribution on your team, and it's your team, and it's the program. But it's Georgia Tech. Everything we do represents the enterprise. And I think the people here recognize that. And it's one of the reasons why, as donors, I think you find it so appealing to contribute to these folks' enduring success. And then the last thing is kind of a fun little designation I like to do. I think about mergers and acquisitions all the time, but this absolutely applies to sports. And what I like to say is there's 3 kinds of companies in the world, or 3 kinds of institutions in the world. There's birds of prey, moving prey, and roadkill. Roadkill. We all know who they are. They can't get out of bed in the morning. They just fail at everything they do. What really defines success in these 3 designations is your ability to succeed in both long and short term. The poor folks in roadkill stink in the near term, and they have no long term. Moving prey are what we see all the time in business, and you see it in sports as well. These are the companies that think that if they can just make next quarter's earnings, they're going to be okay. And in doing so, they devote all their attention to the short term and imperil their long-term success. You see that in sports all the time, too. See, we're not after successful games or seasons. We're really after a successful program here. And what we got to do there is always point towards everything required to build long-term success. And in providing for that, we're going to make sure that we optimize our short-term opportunity. It's true in business, and it's true in sports. And folks that are able to do both, those are the birds of prey. And those are the people that succeed long-term. And so I always find that analogy between sports and business all the time. And what I just want to say to you folks that are athletes here and represent us so well, you will have the same experience later in life. And I think you'll be able to translate every good thing you're doing here and to make your life successful for decades to come. And so in closing, one of the other things I like to say is you can never say thank you enough in life. Virtually everything we ever accomplish is accomplished through somebody else. And in order for Georgia Tech to have that sustaining, long-term level of success as an institution, it requires the what's in the hows that you athletes demonstrate and the long-term sustaining support of the donor community here in Atlanta and around the United States. It is so important that we succeed. Thank you for all you do. Nice being with you tonight.